Do you want to start building a home gym, but you're not sure where to start? Hi, I'm Alex. I'm an online fitness and nutrition coach, and when I set out to create this space, I wanted something that not just looked cool, but also was really functional and space efficient, because I'm working with one half of a 2-car garage. In this video, I'm going to walk through the setup, the cost, and what I would do differently if I did it again. Okay, let's get started. So when we first moved in here, I knew that I wanted a home gym, and honestly, all I had were 2 squat racks, 2 barbells, and some plates, but I knew that I wanted to expand beyond that, and it didn't all happen at once. This has been over the process of 2.5 years, finally putting on these final touches of the lights, the wall, this rope light behind me, just yesterday. And there's a lot we had to do. We had to take off the shelving off the wall, we painted the wall green, and then everybody on the internet was telling me that it was baby puke green and vomit green. You can actually see it in the Goku there, what green it was. Then we painted it black, kept the Goku up. That's a whole long story. When we first started, we actually did a slat wall on our own, but I'm not a carpenter. I didn't know what I was doing, and so I just went to Home Depot and bought a bunch of planks and just kind of glued them on. And that didn't look that great because 1, it just wasn't super uniform. It was decent, but 2, it didn't go all the way up the wall. And so when I set out with this new design, I kind of wanted something like dark and moody, and these aren't adjectives that I normally say, but I think I achieved that kind of dark and moodiness and kind of high contrast that I really like seeing in some other gyms that I've seen. One inspiration for what I was shooting for was actually Eugene Teo's personal gym, or private gym. I think it's exceptional. Now, that's a lot bigger than what I have here, but I liked the wood elements, the warm light. I liked just like the black of it. I don't know. I thought he brought a lot of really nice elements in. All right, so first things first is the flooring. Now, it's a little bit wet because I just mopped it before starting this video and I didn't give it time to dry, but this is a 4 foot by 6 foot horse stall mat. I believe it's 1/2 inch. It might be 3/4 inch. I think it's 1/2 inch. And this is what I would recommend for a lot of home gym flooring. If you go with that foam kind of puzzle piece situation, it's gonna be a little bit too squishy for things like when you're doing deadlifts or squats. You don't wanna be sinking into the floor too much. So this is really solid. It was relatively cheap. Now, one note, if you have a basement gym, you're gonna wanna leave this outside or in the garage for maybe 24 to 48 hours because it strongly smells of rubber. I mean, it's overpowering. But that smell does go away within about 24, 48 hours or so. Next up is the lighting, and the lighting makes a massive difference. If there was one thing that I would do to elevate your space in terms of the cool factor, it would be to upgrade your lighting. Just for an example, this is what the lighting looked like before, and here's what it looks like now. Pretty big difference, right? And I had the electrician set up these hexagon lights to be on a dimmer switch, so I could go down like this, or up like this. Having this control over the amount of lighting that I have is going to be really important for YouTube videos like this. Now, the rope LED lights were from Govee, and those were about $80. The hexagon lights were $65. And installation for the hexagon lights, along with a switch that was wired in over there, was about $400. And then these wood slats, the mirror, the LEDs behind it, it was about $800 or $1,000, but I'm not exactly sure on that because I didn't take a good look at the itemized list, and we're doing a bunch of work inside too, like just a bunch of like small fixer-upper things. But I'd say ballpark for the overhead lights, the rope lights, the installation of this wall and the mirror and all of that, it was probably about $1,500, $1,600. One thing I really like about this rope light is it has a bunch of settings that I can set it to. So, you know, if I want to go pure white or red or really whatever color, I can do that. And I can change the brightness as well. There's a whole lot of different options I can do. And if I pull it into the app, I can even create different sections to do different things. And similarly, they set up my LEDs behind here to be controlled with a remote, so I can do different effects. Like this one is a fade, and I can speed it up if I wanted to. So let's speed it way up. There we go. You get the idea. It has all those kinds of LED functionalities that, you know, all of them have. The overhead hexagon lights can also get a lot brighter or a lot dimmer, but the camera's not really picking this up, but I'm serious, these things get really, really bright. First up on our equipment is the Inspire FTX something or another, and I bought it from Costco actually. Now, Costco doesn't have this exact one in stock anymore. I think they have a slightly different version, but I am so happy that I jumped on this one when it was available. It was about $1,500 or $1,600, and I've seen sales with it down to $1,200 or so. It's got a good amount of weight. If I put it down here at the 15, which is probably closer to about 100 pounds. You know, I can sit down on it pretty easily. Not saying that that's an exercise I do if you're looking for programming. that's not something I would do, but I'm just showing you how much it weighs roughly. And if I need to add more weight, this is not a recommendation, this is just what I do. I am not liable for any cable breakages or whatever. I throw in a gym pin and then just throw a 45 pound or 25 pound or 35 pound plate on top of that. You just slide it in just like that. Again, this is not me recommending you do this, I'm just saying that I do this. Along with this, I got a bunch of different accessories. D handles obviously came with it, but then I also have wrist straps, ankle cuffs, same thing. And I just find this to be really nice for when I want to do like tricep extensions or wrist height cable lateral raises, that type of thing. By the way, I don't think I mentioned it, but I would highly recommend this cable machine. It was phenomenal. It's a great price. A lot of cable machines, functional trainers are going to run you $2,000, $3,000. This one being $1,500 was a steal. Okay, anyways, next piece of equipment that we're going to look at is the Hammer Strength Squat ground-based squat lunge machine, GBSL machine for short. This is by Hammer Strength and it was fulfilled by Life Fitness. It ran me about $2,150 and it is the most expensive piece of equipment that I have in here. Now, this is a phenomenal piece of equipment where the cable machine is great for my upper body. This has been phenomenal for my lower body. The loading capability is so high. You could just slap 45s down on each side of it. You could do kind of like a heel elevated squat. You could do squats, you could do split squats, lunges, Romanian deadlifts, stiff leg deadlifts. You can do shrugs. Sometimes I put a plate down, like a 45 pound plate, like a thick rubber one, and do calf raises on this. It's sensational, and I could even do like bent over rows on this if I wanted to. I don't do that, but because of the piece of equipment I have over here. But if you didn't have the next, well, two things from now, that might be an idea that you could use this for as well. Highly recommend this. However, I do understand that this is a bougie item. This is a luxury item for sure. Actually, one more note on that. If you are doing split squats with like 20 pounds, you don't need this because you don't need that loading capacity. But if you're doing split squats and it's quite a bit heavier, then being able to load it with something like this is really nice. You obviously could use something like a Smith machine as well, but I just like this. I love that. I think this is a phenomenal piece of equipment. I can't say enough good words about it. Next, we have the plate-loaded leg extension leg curl combo machine from Titan Fitness, and it was about $665. All right, here's the thing. I want to love this thing, but when we're talking about plate-loaded leg extensions and leg curls, the resistance profile is really weird. Okay, here's why I don't love it, but I don't hate it necessarily either. I don't hate it because the price is really good for a combo machine like this. If I just bring the leg pad up like this, I sit here, I do leg curls just like this. The problem is there's basically no resistance here at the bottom, and then there's a ton up here. So the resistance profile just gets kind of wonky really fast. One thing I have done, if you can see underneath here, is I've set some 5 pound or maybe 2.5 pound plates right here. I could even put this up to like a 25, even maybe a 35, 45 pound plate to rest this on so that the resistance starting point is a little bit greater. The greatest resistance is when the lever is going to be parallel to the ground, perpendicular to gravity. So this is where peak resistance is going to be, right? And that's the same thing with the leg extensions. I can make a slight adjustment to it. When I want to do leg extensions, I can put a plate here, prop up this arm so we get a little bit of resistance at the bottom, and that's okay. But I would say that, leg extensions are great because they target the the rectus femoris, right? But honestly, lately, I've just been doing sissy squats, and that's been working out better for me. All in all, if you're looking for just a leg curl machine, this is great. I think it's solid for leg curls, for leg extensions. I don't love it. And I would almost rather down the road get like a cable-based like machine pin-loaded leg extension. My cable machine was number 1, the GBSL machine was number 2. This is number 3, maybe even tied for second place in terms of my favorite pieces of equipment that I own. This is the T-bar, what do they call it? The Sargent plate-loaded T-bar row from Bolt Fitness Supply. I would work with Bolt Fitness Supply 10 out of 10 times. This is the best piece of, it's incredible the value for this. I think it was $1,200, but it's on my spreadsheet over there. I'll put it on the screen here. Some major components of this. Okay, so with most of our muscles, we are stronger when they're in their more stretched position and weaker when they're in their more shortened position. The back is the same. So the nice thing here is where is, we just talked about levers over there, where is tension going to be highest? Well, when this lever is closer to parallel to the ground, down here. And as we come up, the resistance is a little bit lighter. So it follows our strength curve. It's just got a it's got a terrific resistance profile. These handles can twist and rotate, and they can go in or out. So they're far in right now, and then I can adjust them. And so this grip right here, kind of like a neutral grip, tight into your ribs, amazing for the lats. And then if we go a bit wider out here like this, and use a pronated or overhand grip, we're gonna get that scapular or shoulder blade retraction and protraction, which is phenomenal for the upper back. So this is chef's kiss, 10 out of 10 recommend. Quality, the build quality, the value. I mean, this thing should cost $2,000 or more in my opinion. I can't say enough good things about it. I know I just said that about the GBSL machine, but I really mean it. This is a class piece of equipment. Over there we have a plate tree from Rogue. Honestly, there's not much to say about it. It's fine. It's good. Yeah, it's good. It's fine. It's not, it's not exciting. All right, here we have the hack squat and leg press combo machine from Titan Fitness, and I think this is really good value if you are basically exactly 6 foot. So the reason that I'm saying that is I am 5'8", and if I were to, I hope Pete, the skeleton, doesn't fall on me here, but I'm just gonna show you what happens. So I have these 2 bumper plates behind me, and you're gonna see why in just a second. All right, so I'm lining up for, okay, we're good. All right, we're good. I'm gonna put my feet a little bit higher. And, okay, it's hitting that golf thing down there, but it's also bottomed out right about here. So if I don't have these bumper plates behind me to kind of like elevate me up, it bottoms out very, very soon. And so if you're a little bit shorter than me, I have very short legs for what it's worth. My wife is 5 foot or 5'1", and we have the same length legs. I have a longer torso. So I got weird proportions. And for hack squat, it's the same thing except worse. I actually have to, so you slide this down just like this. All right, this bolt is very stuck. I think I'd need a hammer to smack it out a little bit. I think that's partially due to the cold and partially due to me not using it as much. But this swings down, and then you hold on to here. You got the shoulder pads, and then you swing this back part out of the way. The problem here as well is that it does bottom out very quickly, so I have to put 45-pound bumper plates next to each other, and then 35s, and then 25s to be able to get a full range of motion before the thing bottoms out. So I don't know, if you're 6 foot or if you have slightly longer legs than me, this might be a great piece of equipment. I personally don't use it anymore, basically at all, since getting my GBSL machine. I've thought about bringing hack squats into rotation, but then the issue is because I do need to use the 45, 35, and 25 pounds, here just to elevate my feet, it's a lot of moving plates around, and I don't know. It wouldn't be the end of the world, but I don't know. And I know that I could probably set up some kind of like box or something, but the idea of like a wooden box, I'd probably be steel, right? But like the idea of like a wooden box, me putting, a couple 100 pounds on this thing to do hack squats, the idea of my feet going through that and just shattering both, like my tibia, my fibula, my ankles are gone, my femur may be gone. That doesn't sound, and not to mention the splinters, that doesn't sound too exciting and appealing. So, and I've also experimented with putting yoga blocks under my shoulders to kind of like elevate myself a little bit. It was just really uncomfortable. Here we have the dual hyper extension, and this again is from Titan Fitness, and it was either $300 or $400. It'll be on screen. And okay, hindsight 2020. I kind of have this weird thing with my head. I might have like POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. We're not sure on that yet. But when my head goes down too far, just kind of feels weird, like I get a little lightheaded. But for some reason, only when I'm like face up. And so my point here is when I lift this thing up, just go on the website if you want to see how it transforms. When I lift this thing up and it becomes like a GHD, a glute ham developer, and I try to do like an ab crunch like that, my head just feels horrible. But with 45-degree hip extensions, it actually feels totally fine. As you can see, I don't know if you could just see my head when I stood up there. I don't know how high I put the camera, but I'm high up, and you kind of don't want to be this high up when you're doing 45-degree hip extensions, but that's the way they had to make it work. So, just like this, it works very well. I really like it. And we make decisions with the information that we have. I did not know the GHD machine would kind of be weird on my head, but But knowing that now, yeah, I wish I had just gotten a simple 45-degree hip extension that was lower to the ground so it doesn't feel like I'm flying. Lately, I have been bringing this over in front of the GBSL machine to really load it, and that's been incredible. I've been able to throw on like 100, 200 pounds for a 45-degree hip extension, which trying to do that with dumbbells would be a bit more complicated. You could easily do that with a barbell though, of course. For my bench of choice, I have the Rep Fitness AB 4100. Now this thing cost me $400, which is truthfully pretty expensive for a bench when you could just get one off Amazon for 100 bucks. But if you've tried both a bench off Amazon and a heavier duty bench, you know there is a massive difference. This thing is heavy, it's sturdy, it doesn't really slide around on you much. It's built solid and it feels really good to lift on, especially if you're doing something like bench press. Back in the day, I did powerlifting, and when I was doing my bench press, I didn't want this thing kind of shaking side to side on me, and this definitely did not do it. It stayed in position, really like it. Very, adjustable at a bunch of degrees. It actually has the degrees listed on here. It's got 0, 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 85, and then this comes up and down as well. Now, as for the dumbbells that I have these Bowflex adjustable dumbbells. I think they're about $300, but my mom got them for me when I was 16 years old or so about 14 years ago. Thanks, Mom. Maybe started this career for me. These only go up to 52.5 pounds though, so I got a pair of 70-pound dumbbells as well. Now, honestly, I very rarely use dumbbells at this point. I mostly just use the cable machine, the GBSL machine, the T-bar row, the 45-degree hip extension, and then every now and then, maybe I'll use the leg extension, leg curl. I was using the leg curl for a long time, but now that I have the 45-degree hip extension, I've been loving that for my hamstrings. Anyway, if you were just starting a gym, a pair of adjustable dumbbells, that's the first thing I'd get. That and an adjustable bench, and you're good for a very long time. We'll talk about what equipment I'd recommend as you build up the gym in just a minute. And as for all the weight plates that I have, the 45, 35, 20, etc., I don't know how much I've spent on it, honestly, because I've gotten it over the years, and you can assume that it's about $1 per pound. Maybe prices have gone up since then. And the bumper plates are definitely more expensive than $1 per pound, but yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a price breakdown for all that. There are some accessories that I definitely would recommend. One is a pair of heel wedges just like this, and another, maybe optionally, is an ab mat. Now, let me explain on both of these. So the benefit to heel wedges is they remove ankle mobility as the limiting factor in knee flexion. And if you don't know what I mean when I just said that, look at how far I can drive my knees forward. It's right about here before my heels start popping up, right? And so there's not a huge angle in my knee here. Now, if we bring the heel wedges in, watch what happens. Ankle mobility is no longer a limiting factor, and I can look at this knee angle now. So what happens here is you're able to get a way greater degree of knee flexion, obviously, which lengthens the quads, so you get better quad growth. Especially if you're working just with dumbbells, these are an investment that I would definitely make. You could probably get a pair for like 20 bucks. The next accessory, an ab mat. Honestly, as I said that I would recommend this one, you don't need this. You really don't need this. Doing bench ab crunch, just YouTube search that one. I just put out a video. I have a bunch of exercise demonstration videos. Just do the bench ab crunch, a cable crunch, a machine ab crunch. You don't need this thing. You don't need it. Honestly, the number one accessory that I would recommend for your back days and your leg days are wrist straps. Now you can use wrist straps, you can use Versa grips, whatever, but they remove grip as the limiting factor, and your legs and your back are probably going to be stronger than your forearms, so don't leave gains on the table. Just get a pair of these, they're like 10 bucks. All right, so if I was building a home gym from scratch, there are a few things that I'd be thinking about. Where do I want to save versus where do I want to splurge a little bit? And what are the priority items? You can always add to a gym over time, but what should you be getting first? So first things first, where should you save and where should you splurge? I would get a nice pair of adjustable dumbbells. Now, some people love the power blocks. I personally have just really enjoyed the Bowflex. I will say they're a little bit bulky. You're gonna be using, if you're using even 15 pounds, like the blades on them, they're pretty big, but it's a lot cheaper and more space efficient than getting a pair of 5, 10s, 20s, 25s, 30s. And if you are somebody who's like, well, I don't lift weights currently, or I'm just getting started lifting weights, I don't think I'll need 30s, 40s, and 50s. I think you'd be very surprised how strong you will get, and you will very quickly need 30s, 40s, and 50s. If you can pick up your laundry basket from the ground or a child off the ground, you can probably deadlift 30s, 40s, and 50s, right? So yeah, first I would get adjustable dumbbells and I'd get a nice pair. That would be a splurge. Next, I would get an adjustable bench, but this is one that I would save on. I don't think you need something super, super fancy. You could just get a $100 bench adjustable bench from Amazon. You don't really need anything crazy here. So for those two things alone, you're talking maybe $400 and you're gonna be able to get a huge amount of gains for a very long time. So why do I have all this equipment if I just need dumbbells? Well, variety. Sometimes we just get bored. Sometimes we want to go to the gym and use all the fancy equipment. And I didn't want to go to the gym anymore. I wanted the gym to be at my house so I could just pop out, do a workout while I'm working from home. And yeah, it's been really, really nice. I'm so glad that I've made this continual investment. If you want to continue adding to your gym, the next thing that I would get is a functional trainer or cable machine of some kind. Now, whether it is the Inspire from Costco or whether it's a nicer setup like a whole rig with a Smith machine built in and cables built in, they have so many different combinations of things. Look at kind of what's in your budget. There's one company called Ancor that is very, very space efficient. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not sponsored by anybody in this whole thing. But yeah, I've heard good things about them, and it's just like you mount it on a wall or stick it to a rack, and I think they're $500 per unit, so it's just one, you don't get two handles, and I don't know the weighting capacity on it, so that'd be something I'd be looking into as well, but that could be an option as well. And then if you already have the functional trainer, you already have the adjustable dumbbells, you already have the adjustable bench, then maybe just think about like, well, what machine would be cool? Maybe you got inspiration from one of the machines, the piece of equipment that I have in my gym, or maybe there's something else that you're eyeing. And if there is, feel free to drop it in the comments and I'll respond and give you my input. Okay, and a lot of people out there might be wondering, where the heck is your squat rack and barbell, you frickin' weenie? Okay, I hear you. The squat rack and barbell used to be right here, and it basically was in the exact same spot that the GBSL machine was. However, there's something that I don't love about some movements with a barbell. One, it's a fixed implement, so your hands are locked in like this. For me, when I was doing bench press, as I got into the heavier loads, especially when doing powerlifting, it would cause some slight aches and pains to my elbow and my shoulder. That's not gonna be the case for everybody, but it was the case for me. So now I do cable pressing on this and it feels a hell of a lot better. There are no must-do exercises, and the squat rack and the barbell was just taking up a lot of room, and I honestly just wanted to replace it with a GBSL machine that I felt was a little bit more variable for my needs. Oh, and I do have this Peloton because I do like cycling for my preferred form of cardio, because I play chess on my phone at the same time. However, I wouldn't recommend the Peloton simply because, one, it's really expensive. I think it was $1,200 refurbished, something like that. But then you have to pay like $49 a month to even use it. Now I can use a free ride, but there's this annoying banner that's like, you've canceled your subscription, you need to resubscribe. I don't get all the same metrics that I did with while I was subscribed, even with the free ride. So I would not recommend this. I would get a way cheaper bike. And if you want to look at metrics like your heart rate, just use an Apple Watch. If you want to use, maybe find a bike that has watts if you're curious about that kind of thing. But yeah, I would not go with the Peloton again. And I don't know, I'm pretty close to selling it, to be honest. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this gym tour, and if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. I'm more than happy to answer anything you've got.